happier that Trump didn't announce the strategic reserve on the first day, because now you have more time to buy Bitcoin. But once America announce and start to do the treasury, the price is going to shoot up.
The Federal Reserve then, getting off the gold standard, essentially being able to manipulate everything, kind of, I guess, the root of all evil.
I don't want to know about clothes and watches and all that stuff in cars. I want to store my energy, on Bitcoin. That's what I want.
If we were to get into the UFC octagon, how long do you think it would take for you to knock me out? Bing bong. I am back with another edition of the State of Bitcoin podcast, where I've got UFC legend Renato Moicano in the house here, who's been making waves for his post-fight discussions with Joe Rogan and others, all about Bitcoin and Austrian economics. But I just looked it up pre-show here, and the average UFC career is just over 14 fights. So with the UFC career being very short, does that mean that you're putting a big focus on Bitcoin strictly to look at, you're only fighting for a few years? How much money can you really make in order to retire? And how much Bitcoin do you think that number is in order to be a good number to retire from the fight game?
I don't know. What's up, brother? What's up, everybody that's watching? I don't know. Maybe if we think in numbers right now, it's one number. But 10 years from now, 15 years from now, the Bitcoin that you have now could be potentially way more value, right? So definitely being an athlete, especially a mixed martial arts fighter, I'm worried about retirement. I don't know how good I will be, like mentally and physically, and that's why I'm very focused on Bitcoin investments and what I have to do to don't have to work or worry on retirement, right? So I don't know, maybe 15, 20, 25 Bitcoins, that would be enough. But I don't fucking know. I have to get as much as possible.
Yeah, amen to that. And I mean, I think it's all about the time horizon with everything, right? So, with you being an athlete, right, with, the way that the fight game goes and everything along those lines, it seems like you've been really putting a focus on trying to make your money go the farthest. So, why did you kind of make this leap into going into the Bitcoin space, really taking that dive into Austrian economics and Bitcoin? Was it because you realized like, hey, I really do love this fight thing, but it could end in an instant just because of the nature of the beast here. So, with that, is that a big reason why you kind of took a dive into Austrian economics and just the overall financial system?
I think what led me to try to study Bitcoin was inflation, right? Was inflation. I got here in USA on 2017. Things were great, and I was making money. I was saving money. I never was a guy that knew about stock market or all that stuff. My family, they don't know money. I think that's the like the thing that most of people don't realize. If your parents don't know money, you're not gonna know money. They're not gonna teach you about stocks, about housing, about investing. And I did everything by myself. So when I move over here with my family, me and my wife, I say, okay, I need to know about money. I need to understand stocks and all that stuff. And then I start to try to invest a little bit on ETFs, doing some stock picks and all that stuff. But then I realize, if you look into it, you lose into inflation. Even investing on stocks, on bonds, the money supply, the government, they always increase the money supply, and they create inflation and the debt, all that stuff. And then I start to realize, and I got into Bitcoin because of that, because investments, and I thought that was a good investment. But in the end of the day, I discovered that Bitcoin is much more than only investment. It's a way to store your energy, is a way to save your money, is a way to get your money out of the system, and government cannot control you. Yeah, it's a hard and sound money that could not be inflated, could not be seized. So I start to realize that Bitcoin is the financial instrument, is the ultimate financial instrument, and it is reserve of your energy and on the time that you spent working. And then I realized, man, that's I have and after Bitcoin, I read a couple books of Bitcoin, the Saifedean Amos book, Bitcoin Standard, and then I realized that he, his book is talking about Austrian economics. And then I went to read Ludwig von Mises, Murray Rothbard, Hans Hermann Hope, and then I realized, man, I don't know what is money. I have to understand what is money, where money comes from, where the value of things come from. It's not from the labor. That's I can tell for sure. This is like a Marxist that say that is the labor that somebody put on the goods. No, the value is on the eye of the beholder. So everything is relativity when you're talking about money. And I realized that with Austrian economics, and then I realized, man, if you're not investing in Bitcoin, you're losing money. Bitcoin is appreciating over time, like more than 50% on the last 10 years, if you see. So it's a no-brainer. You have to go with Bitcoin, and you have to understand that technology. And once you understand the blockchain, when you understand the mining, when you understand the whole network and the game theory behind Bitcoin, you get like transformed by that, and your preference and your temporal preference changes. So right now, I don't want to know about clothes and watches and all that stuff and cars. I want to store my energy, on Bitcoin. That's what I want.
Yeah, and it is interesting, right? Because it seems like there's a lot of talk about Bitcoin just in general on where it could potentially go. There's the talk of, the Bitcoin strategic reserve. I mean, shortly after you started talking about it, it seems like everybody, athletics wise, started to talk about it. So have you noticed that as a wave in the athletics, whether it's just UFC or other athletes that you're talking with, training with, that are starting to move towards Bitcoin, or at least talking toward, or at least starting to have that conversation about it?
Yeah, but most of the people that I talk into the gym and athletes and stuff, they want to know about Bitcoin because of the gains, right? They want to make dollars. Most of people don't understand why Bitcoin was created and the philosophy behind Bitcoin. So I think we are still on the early stages, even though companies like BlackRock, and we have the ETFs on Bitcoin, and and it's getting institutionalized, like you say. We could have the potentially we could have during Trump's years. We could have the treasury, the strategic reserve treasury. But I think most of the people don't realize that Bitcoin came to do like a revolution on the financial system, because our financial system right now all over the world is about debt. It's about government debt. It's modern money theory. So they think they're gonna get the way out of printing money, and they're gonna pay all the bills with debit and like enslaving the next generations. But you have to realize, like the Austrian economics say, investments, they come from savings, and that's why I like Bitcoin. You save, you store your energy, and then you invest, and then you buy stuff that you need. And eventually, if you have a lot of Bitcoin, you don't even gonna need to sell your Bitcoin. You could collateralize, get like a land, right, your Bitcoin, and get some money and live off your Bitcoin. So I think eventually you're gonna get one day that whoever bought Bitcoin and has Bitcoin is going to be very, very well take care of, and who don't have is going to be on this cycle of poverty and debt.
Now, you are a Brazilian fighter. So, I mean, Brazil was just recently talking about building a Bitcoin strategic reserve as on their country and their nation state level. Now, Brazil obviously doesn't have the global reserve currency like the United States. So, just from your background, did that, in a sense, kind of help you understand Bitcoin a little bit better, just because you've seen, the Brazilian currency go through different waves when it's relative to the dollar. And then now you're seeing, some of the country, talk about a strategic reserve. Do you feel a sense of pride, Brazilian pride, seeing now the country start to try to embrace Bitcoin as well?
No, I think it's going to be impossible to Brazil to build up this strategic reserve, but because, like you say, USA has the global reserve, so they can print money and they can print money and buy Bitcoin with the money that they print. But Brazil cannot print dollars, so the foreign debt is just something that they cannot print dollars. They don't have dollars enough, so they can print reais, the Brazilian currency, but that doesn't gonna buy much, and eventually if they print too much, the inflation is just gonna take over. And so I think it's just a rhetoric. People are talking about that, but Brazil, you have to realize that. Why I understand Bitcoin a little bit more as a Brazilian, because on the last century, Brazil had so many revolutions. We had many coups. We have like dictatorships. It's not like America that we have presidents since 1776, right? Since the revolution, since George Washington, and we have this stable country. In Brazil, we had several political changes. We have an emperor at one time from Portugal, and then we have the army. They got a coup in 1789. Close to the French Revolution, and then we have on the 64, and then we have several coups, so the politically Brazil is very unstable, and so are the currency. We collapsed the currency like 2 or 3 times on the last 100 years, and we had on the 90s a president that frees the assets of the whole population. So we have many fucked up things in Brazil. So we know that could happen again. So if you're holding and you're saving your money on Brazilian reais, you're crazy. It's the same thing that you're saving. If you're saving your money on Africa currency, or in Argentina, on Venezuela, you fuck it, because eventually your money is going to zero. It's different. Dollar is in a such dominant position, and that's why I think most of the people in USA, they don't think about Bitcoin, because they don't need Bitcoin. The dollar is pretty stable, but in every other place in the world that is corrupt and there is a very weak currency, Bitcoin is the only way out.
Yeah, 100%, and I could definitely see that. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised that you're I guess you don't think it's necessarily possible for the Brazilian government to build a strategic reserve, because a lot of other countries outside of the US, I think it's over 25 now, have been at least proposing it. But I see where you're coming from in the fact that the US can print money in order to buy Bitcoin, so it would make it
Yeah.
difficult for everyone else. But you brought up a lot of the dictatorships, and Brazil also made waves by trying to ban X earlier this year. Or I guess 2024 now. I'm getting my months here mixed up. So with all that, right? I mean, is that something that where you see the censorship resistant money and that property in Bitcoin as extremely vital, where maybe the average American might not see it as well as you might, just because of what you
Exactly, because like you say, in the place that you cannot trust on the justice, you cannot have private property. If the justice system are corrupt, they can take your home, they can seize your assets, they can say, hey, this money is not yours. So in a place that we don't have laws, we don't have free market, you cannot rely on the justice to take care of you. So it's really important to have something that you can like get out of the system. So I think Bitcoin is very important, especially in third world countries like Brazil. And like you say, in Brazil right now, we are living in strange times when the Supreme Court is doing like the work of the Congress. They are passing laws. They are even passing laws. They are even making laws for the president, and they saying, and this is a bureaucrats that never had a vote. So democracy in Brazil is very fragile. So if you invest in Brazil, and that's why the interest rates are so high, because there is a lot of insecurity for investors, because you don't want to put your money over there, and if the justice can seize your money, or can eventually take your companies, and can privatize your companies, can like not privatize, can estatize your companies, that's not a safe place for your money. So if you're not in a safe, if your place that you live is not safe for your money, there is a tool that can save you, and the name is Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's 100%. And now, you seem very well versed when it comes to Bitcoin, and you understand that it's Bitcoin, not crypto. I've seen multiple tweets from you on your end on that sense. Now, it seems like the UFC is sponsored by Crypto.com, and they have a lot of crypto quite an influence.
I
Do you
lost
think?
money on the fucking thing, brother. I lost
Well,
a lot of money.
how? How did you do
because
it? Tell us.
because on the beginning, right, I didn't know much about crypto and Bitcoin, and I saw everybody was talking about this Chronos, right, crypto.com coin, and it was sponsor UFC, and I thought, okay, if it's good enough to sponsor UFC, it's good enough for me. And then they bought like the name of the Staples Center, now it's crypto.com, and I bought that shit at like 89 cents, and now it's 15, and I put a lot of money because I thought if that company is sponsoring UFC, that means that is good. But I didn't know much about crypto, so that's why I don't go with another companies, because once you realize what Bitcoin was made for, we know Satoshi, like in 2008, he created Bitcoin because of the bailouts of the banks, right? Even on the Genesis block, you have the message for the journal, like the chancellor saving and doing the bailouts of the banks. So it's a clear message saying that that's money that cannot be inflated, that's money that cannot be seized. And every and each other crypto has like a CEO, has a company. We don't know who create Bitcoin. It's like it's going to be almost impossible to replicate what Satoshi did, and the way Bitcoin was adopted even before money. You have this theory for Ludwig von Mises, how we going to adopt the coin, how money becomes money, and Bitcoin follow all the steps to becoming money. Was first was a collectible item, and then people start to trade voluntarily, was choosing freely by the market, and now one Bitcoin, uh, it worth like $1,000. Why? Because there is a reason. There was money chosen by free market, just like gold before, on the millenniums before. So every crypto that you have, this Solana, XRP, all the other cryptos that trying to emulate Bitcoin and say that's going to be the new big thing, they have an agenda because they have a CEO, they have companies. Show me the CEO of Bitcoin. Nobody knows. So it's going to be impossible to replicate that.
Yeah, I agree with it 100%. So, I mean, it seems like you learned the hard way, and unfortunately, I think majority of people have to somewhat go through that. Go through their little shitcoin journey in order to get a little burned, and then kind of figure it out that way. Now, because you're doing this in the UFC, right? There's millions of people watching you. They tune in and they hear you after your fights discussing all this. And then you're taking the microphone from Joe Rogan and speaking with Dana White. Do you think that they really understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto just yet? Or have you been able to orange pill those guys? That's right, the Bitcoin Well. They will help you buy Bitcoin and send it directly to your personal wallet. You can sell Bitcoin directly from your personal Bitcoin wallet. And on top of that, if you want to buy large amounts of Bitcoin, they've got some of the most competitive rates in this space, where they've got great white glove service. I'll even help introduce you to my friends over at the Bitcoin Well to make sure that they're taking care of you when you want to go through the over-the-counter service. And on top of that, they help support you and the freedom technology that Bitcoin offers. So I wouldn't partner with a company that I don't use myself. So I use Bitcoin Well to make all of my Bitcoin purchases. So I highly recommend them. So why don't you go to thebitcoinwell.com/greencandle and you can sign up today and join the party at the well. Maybe even get some tokens where you could throw into the wishing well and potentially win some free sats as well. Enough from me. Let's get back to the show.
I don't know. I don't think so. Like I say, Bitcoin is for people that needs, is for the people that are disenfranchised by inflation. Most of the people that are really rich in USA, they benefit from inflation. They benefit from the money supply. They benefit from the melt up. They benefit for people getting poor, because these people, they have money, and with this money they will invest in stocks, and stocks, banks, they are too big to fail. The government gonna bail them out. They're gonna put more money and they're gonna inflate, and that's why we people like 20, that had 20 years old, they cannot afford a home anymore because the price is going up and up because of the inflation. But if you have money, inflation is a good thing. So I don't think they need Bitcoin because they got their way with on the legacy system. You know, they have money, they are billionaires, they are millionaires. So they don't. Bitcoin is like a tool for those who need Bitcoin, you know, or for those that are smart enough to understand Bitcoin. So it's like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, why he talks shit about Bitcoin? Because he made his money out of stocks. He doesn't need Bitcoin, you know. But if you are on your 20s and you don't have a good job, you're not gonna be rich like playing the legacy game, putting your money on bonds, putting your money on stocks. So Bitcoin is not about getting rich. To me, Bitcoin is about to save and store your energy. And to young people out there that are disenfranchised, I think that's the best way to save your money.
Yeah, 100%. It's the greatest savings technology that there is. And I don't think that there's even a debate at this point, but it seems like, there's always these different, I guess, like shiny new objects, right? So, do you feel like just because, you dabbled in the crypto.com token, you've been able to avoid that and kind of go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and really understand, von Mises and the Austrian economics realm? Or, what kind of like drove you to get to that point to really, I guess, just want to educate yourself?
Yeah, no, brother, but crypto.com was not the only thing that I lost money. I went on these fucking NFT games, you know. I was fucking play with my money and trying to make money out of these NFT games and spending the whole day playing these fucking games for money. But then I realized that was bullshit. And then there is a Brazilian guy, his name is Renato Moicano, and he has a book named Bitcoin Red Pill. And I read this book, and he was doing a lot of reference about the Austrian economic school and all that the Ludwig von Mises, all these guys. And then I start to buy the books and read, and then I realized, like, because before I didn't know what was money. What was money? Money was just a representation of the exchanging of goods, right, and services. So the money is like an invention. Money is a technology. And then I realized what's the value of money? Is the value that we give to the thing. And then I start to realize all the Austrian economics, and then I realized that Bitcoin is this. Bitcoin is pure Austrian economic school and the game theory in a technology that, like we were saying, save money and gonna work no matter what. You know, the incentives is all right. So the network is going to work if you like it or not, if the government likes it or not. And that makes that makes Bitcoin almost unstoppable, you know. So I think that was, and then I realized that if you fix money, you can fix people too, because people are broke and people spend money because the fiat currency is broke, and they make them bet, you know. Because if you leave your money, your dollars, your reais on your account, you're losing money. So it's better even bet on fighting, you know, or spend on buy cars and buy clothes, because you're losing your purchasing power. So I think once you realize that you can save and store your energy with Bitcoin, you change your life too, and you change the way you see life.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you. And I agree with you there. Now, you had a great tweet the other day. Unfortunately, you didn't end up pulling it out on Saturday, but you said you wish you had won and you would be able to grab the microphone and told us to read Murray Rothbard's what has government done to our money. So I'll give you the chance here, man. I want to hear what you would have said to the people if you would have been able to pull it out this weekend, and tell us what you would have yelled on the UFC stage.
Man, it's tough to replicate it right now, because if I had one, I would be world champion right now. I would have a belt and a lot of money, so I would be much happier. But what I want to say, and what I learned about this book, Murray Rothbard, What Has Government Done to Our Money, is why and how people choose gold and silver as currency. Why they did that was because they stuck to flow, because it was a money hard to produce, was a money hard to counterfeit. And even though governments has been counterfeit gold for a long time, scrapping gold and create inflation. It was way harder than other things that people used to as money. But what he was saying in the book is, once the government realized that they can control the money, and once they start to do central banks, the money almost become a tool of control for the government, because now they can artificially increase or decrease the interest rate, and they can work with the government and the central banks to put the interest rates where they want. And and that's why we are in so much debt, because they can print their way out. When money was gold, you could not inflate like that, because you have hard money. Simply, you cannot produce anymore. It's very hard to produce gold. You have to mine. Like, the inflation rate of gold is like 2% a year, and the inflation of dollars, the supply, the M1, M2, is like 20% a year. So eventually the dollar gonna lose all its power, through inflation. So the book uh, shows and teach you how government gain control over population through established central banks and controlling interest rate and money. So I would, and why I'm saying that, because uh, Murray Rothbard say that money should be chosen freely by the free market, and as a and should be a commodity with a price that fluctuates according to the demand and the supply. So he's talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is this. Bitcoin is the new gold. Bitcoin is the ultimate asset that you can, even if you're dead, you can carry all your own keys and nobody gonna get your money. So that's what I would say if I had one. Of course, it would be much better because I would be much happier. But to summarize, it's something like that. Money should be not controlled by the government. Central banks are evil because they enslaving the next generation through debt, through that. And that was what I would say.
Yeah, and you would have had a lot more adrenaline flowing as well. So we all wish we would have seen it, but we'll be rooting for you on the next one. But with that, you talked about the kind of like the root of all evil. It seemed is the Fed. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is that where you kind of see the start of the manipulation of everything? Is just the Federal Reserve then getting off the gold standard, essentially being able to manipulate everything? Kind of, I guess, the root of all evil.
I think so, because like you're saying, that's the problem. If you can control the interest rate, and they do that, and if you can lower the interest rate at zero or very low, there is this thing they call quantitative easing. But what is printing money, So the government and the central banks, they lower the interest rate. So the Fed buy bonds from the government, they buy assets for the government. So how a private company can work with the government like that to lower the interest rate and to buy bonds? And what that means is they are giving money to the government, and the government destroying the purchasing power and taxing people through inflation. So it's a very bad thing. And like Murray Rothbard is saying on the book, central banks are just evil, and they destroy your money. Government, they don't want hard money. They want money that they can manipulate.
Yeah, 100%. So do you think that, with everything that we're seeing kind of coming along, right? It seems like Trump is starting to embrace Bitcoin, but he's also, kind of dabbling in the meme coin area a little bit as well. Do you think that, this is almost like, I guess almost fake in a sense, because the government is saying they're okay with Bitcoin in a certain way, but then they're also dabbling in the shit coins and the altcoins and everything else. So I don't really know what their motive is here. And obviously, Bitcoin would take control away from the government. So, do you think that, I guess they're trying to let us, quote, play with our Bitcoins for a little bit. But in the end, they want to be able to backdoor into another crypto or something along those lines? Okay, so you've discovered Bitcoin and are on the path to financial self-sovereignty. But simply holding Bitcoin is not enough. You need to make sure that it's scored properly and you are in 100% control over all your assets. So sharing your keys with third parties and taking on that counterparty risk is not the answer. The answer is pure and simple. It's uncompromising self-custody, and there's no better way to do it than the Bitcoin way. They've got over 25 years of cybersecurity experience, and their team of experts can help you properly self-custody your Bitcoin, secure your digital life, configure your privacy phones, and even establish a Plan B residency if you're looking to do so. So I'm going to help you guys out here and give you a free consultation if you take the first step and visit thebitcoinway.com/green candle, and you can check out the boys at the Bitcoin Way and see how they can help you become self-sovereign.
I don't know what is the purpose too, but one thing is for sure, that was a bad sign for the market, right? To make a meme coin, and they still have like 80% of the tokens. So they sold a lot of tokens. Now the market cap of the meme coin is like billion of dollars, but they can dump the money on the investors, right? So I don't know what was the purpose. I don't think meme coins they have any intrinsic value. They don't have purpose. So I don't know why Trump did that, but I know they did on Solana's network, and Solana is an American-based company. So and the XRP too. So I think maybe they are going on this direction, but doesn't matter because Bitcoin don't care. Actually, I'm happier that Trump didn't announce the strategic reserve on the first day, because now you have more time to buy Bitcoin. But once America announce and start to do the treasury, the price is going to shoot up. So we have a little bit more time to get in more satoshis, to get more Bitcoin, to buy more. So it's inevitable, in my opinion. Like Bitcoin don't need USA need Bitcoin to solve the debt problem and the debt problem. So let's see what Trump. I guess like he gave a good message when he gave Ross Ulbricht the pardon, right? Pardon. How do you say in English?
Pardon. Yeah.
Pardon. Yeah. So that was good. Like he fulfilled his promise, and let's see if he keep doing all right. I think it's still very early to judge, but the meme coin was not a good look for his presidency.
Yeah, it is early, right? So I mean, it's what we're recording this like 2 days in
Yeah.
officially. So I mean, it's hard to judge with what everything, he's got a lot of work to do definitely to see that. But, with the freeing of Ross Ulbricht, for those who don't know, he created the Silk Road, and then he got, I think it was like multiple lifetime sentences. He's served 15 years, and now he's able to get out just because, code is now deemed as free speech. Now, do you see that this is kind of being, I guess, like a shift in the positive direction where everything is going to be a little bit more free, right? We've got, the Doge kind of being enacted where, and free speech is being more of I guess, a stress instead of more of the censorship route. Do you see this as like a positive in your time that you've been in the US, like training in the UFC and everything like that, where you've kind of seen this noticeable shift in, I guess, almost just the vibes here?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But at the same time, I think Trump wanted to fulfill his promise, especially for the libertarians, right? There were a huge part of the libertarians in the Bitcoin community that vote for Trump because he was endorsing Bitcoin and all that stuff. So I think as a politician, he needs to fulfill some of his promises because otherwise he would look bad. But definitely with Zuckerberg going to Joe Rogan and talking about he likes free speech and all that stuff, and Elon Musk buying the X. I think the shift is torn, but we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. It's still early on his presidency, like you said. But I hope America gets better economically, even though I doubt that the Dodge and Trump gonna fix the debt, right? Because 36 trillions, 136% of the GDP. America is spending way more money than making so through taxes. So it's going to be a tough call for him to get the government more efficient, but I hope he does a good job.
Yeah, 100%. Now, you mentioned this a little bit previously where you think if the Bitcoin strategic reserve gets passed, that you think that Bitcoin's going to shoot up. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Obviously, we're not going to hold you to it, but, what price do you think then will, Bitcoin shoot up to? Because then we'll have potentially other G7 countries starting to buy Bitcoin, and then, it'll be a race to see who could scoop up the most Bitcoin possible. So, do you see this as being essentially a pivotal moment in history where we could see, Bitcoin shoot up to the 7, 8 figure range?
I don't know. I have no idea. Michael Saylor was talking about 13 millions at one point, right? I don't know. I hope so, but I have no idea. What about you? Do you have a number on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think without the strategic reserve, we'll at least get to 250,000 this year, just because of like all these other factors. We're seeing more and more companies want to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That was a big. It's called the FASB, which basically allows these different companies to, the accounting gets a little bit easier. So before, MicroStrategy just had like a specific accountant basically to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Now all these other companies can do it. And even without the strategic reserve of the US, if it doesn't get passed, I think, that with another year of the ETFs coming in and, just the rumors of the potential of a strategic reserve can shoot it at least 2.5x this year. And if we get the strategic reserve, I think like all bets are off and we could see the potential of 1 million here
Yeah.
if not this year, very near future, just because of how much, these countries and nation states are going to be buying because nation states aren't going to be traders, right? They're
Yeah,
just
no.
going to be buying and holding.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the game theory starts to get really interesting here.
Exactly. I think the same. I don't have a number because I don't know how to read charts and I don't trade, I just buy and hold. I never sold a single Satoshi. I just buy and hold. And like I say, I see Bitcoin as a reserve of my energy, of my work. So I don't trade. But for people that trade is a great product too, right? Because the volatility, right? People that likes to trade, people that has the competence to trade. I like it. So I don't try to predict the prices or anything like that. I'm just doing my DCA, and going with the Bitcoin. I don't try to 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 push too much my luck.
Yeah, no, I completely understand with that. Now, you mentioned Michael Saylor. I want to talk to you about, just like his influence and all the stuff that, he might say, because it seems like he's everywhere, right? I mean, he was in Brazil talking to, politicians down there. He's been pictured with Eric Trump at Mar-a-Lago and other places. Have you gotten a chance to speak to Michael Saylor one? And if not, just like how influential do you think he's been not only to you and like just kind of seeing some of the talks that he's done like just all over the Bitcoin space?
No, I never talked to Michael Saylor. That would be a pleasure, right? Man. I think he's so important, especially for the ETFs and all, and for this mass adoption of Bitcoin. Because what he did was very smart. He realized, and then he got his company that was making like a couple billions of dollars uh, throughout a lot of time on the stock market, and then he just bought the asset. He just bought Bitcoin, and then how much his stocks are worth, just by holding Bitcoin, just to become essentially a treasure of Bitcoin. He's very smart, and all the podcasts that he goes, like, I think he makes more people believe and understand the technology because he's so good with the words, and being like as influential as he is. I think he does a very good job for Bitcoin, and especially for people that cannot buy Bitcoin, right? We saw these insurance companies that are huge that cannot buy Bitcoin, so they buy stocks, they buy MicroStrategy, they buy ETF. So like through MicroStrategy, people get exposed to Bitcoin through stocks, and I think that's very smart. And I myself, I have a LLC, I have a S corp, so I have a business and I cannot buy Bitcoin directly, but On the business side, I buy stocks. I get exposed by Bitcoin with MicroStrategy. So I think it's very smart, and I like the concept.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be making waves for other companies as well. Start to try to hold as much Bitcoin on the balance sheet as possible. Now, Michael Saylor has had a ton of influence when it comes to just I guess like Bitcoiners in general. Now, do you think that there could be the potential to see other billionaires kind of come on the line? I mean, we've seen Meta potentially talk about it. We've seen Mark Zuckerberg, who's also, a big UFC fan, and he's been kind of pictured at some of these events. Do you think that we're going to start to see more and more billionaires and more influential people start to get into the Bitcoin space? Or do you think because, they don't necessarily need Bitcoin, well, they might be just buying it in the background, but they won't be loud about it like Michael Saylor? I'm taking a quick break from this podcast to tell you guys about Unbank. Unbank is a Bitcoin exchange with a network of ATMs all over the United States in trusted places like Costco. So you could buy and sell Bitcoin while you're getting a double chunk chocolate cookie. So on top of that, there's zero fees when you sell. That's right, I didn't stutter, folks. Zero fees. So you can visit over 28,000 locations all scattered across the US. They've been a trusted partner since 2014. And to start off this year hot, I've partnered with them to bring you a chance to win $200. That's right, 2 cold smackers, 2 Ben Franks, 2 pieces of cheddar. All you have to do is download the app at unbank.com/greencandle, and you'll be entered in a chance to win in the raffle that'll take place on February 28th. So enter now, enter quickly, enter often, and I'll see you guys all on February 28th for the chance for you to win $200. All right, enough for me. Back to the show.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need. They are rich. They are billionaires. So maybe they can buy, but they're not gonna they're not gonna tell. They have like huge businesses that are making very well. And what's like Michael Saylor saying, like he had like this company that makes software, but he was not Microsoft, right? So he would be small, but with Bitcoin, he become the biggest player in the market with Bitcoin, right? The biggest company to own Bitcoin. I don't know how many Bitcoin he has. He has a lot. So he needed, he was in a very specific place, and he was in a very specific situation. It's the same thing with El Salvador. Like we're saying, Brazil didn't create the strategic reserve and was not buying Bitcoin because even though we have a weak currency, we still have a currency. El Salvador didn't have a currency, they had the civil war, so they were using dollars as the currency. So every and each policy that the Fed do here in America will reverberate in El Salvador because they are using dollars. It's just like Argentina. So if your currency is dollar, you don't have nothing to lose. It's better to have Bitcoin, because now you don't have the central banks doing policies on your country. So I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, so
MicroStrategy was in a very specific situation, and Meta and Microsoft, they don't need Bitcoin yet because they are rich. I saw Michael Saylor saying that Bitcoin is like a fire, a small fire for people that are like with cold and don't have a jacket or stuff. They're gonna stop in the fire. But Mike Zuckerberg and these guys, they are fucking snowboarding. They're going to the hotel after they snowboard. They don't care about this fire, but eventually this fire is gonna grow bigger, and people that took advantage of that, they're gonna enjoy the fruits in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's going to, continue in a sense. Now, when you're talking about Brazil and like some of these other countries, do you think that we're going to potentially see, another Nayib Bukele, because he's also been very influential in the Latin American region. And then, I think the United States wouldn't even be talking about a Bitcoin strategic reserve as if El Salvador wasn't the first mover. Now, how influential do you think he is, and do you think that there's going to be another Bukele here soon?
I think he's great, but I don't see many countries going on the same route, because like I say, the country was very small and was very dangerous, they were in a situation that they were almost a narco state, so the people, they were claiming to have a guy like Bukele to put order on the country, and he loves Austrian economic school, he loves Bitcoin, and he realized the problem. He realized the problem, but I don't think many countries are in the same situation. So I don't think so. I think we're gonna see countries in Latin America going way, way worse before it get better, just like El Salvador. It's going to get way worse. Population is going to suffer through inflation and to crimes and to drugs. So they're going to ask for somebody to rescue them. And then when the new Bukele is going to come, but I don't think it's going to be in a short term.
Okay, now we're gonna get to some fun questions here to before we wrap some things up. So I've got your statistics here. It says you're 5'11", about 170 at your fighting weight. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I'll say my stats over here. I'm 5'7". If I hang upside down for a couple hours, maybe 140. A former track athlete. I got to put that out there, so I'm not just some scrub. But if we were to get into the UFC octagon, how long do you think it would take for you to knock me out?
Do you have any martial arts background?
Zero whatsoever.
Man, that would be very easy. Unfortunately.
So you think? I mean, I could run around for a while though, Money Monica. I mean, I could maybe try to wear you out that way by just running in circles. Do you think I could avoid you that long or no? You think I last 30 seconds in there, or you think I'm toast?
Maybe 30 seconds, but man, it's very hard to. If you don't have any martial arts background, you don't know how to defend yourself, even on the feet, on the especially on the ground. So will be very hard. But don't worry, my brother, we're not gonna fight.
I know 100%. I don't want to step in the ring with you. I was just curious. Now, you've been training for a while for this. How long do you think it takes somebody to, just essentially dedicate your life to become a UFC fighter? Do you think it's, a talent thing, or do you think, you need to train, a certain amount of time? How long would you say it would take for somebody to maybe not get quite to the level you're at, but at least be able to, compete in a fight?
It really depends. Some people are just natural. Some people, like, they have 2-3 years of training and they can compete at the highest level, and some people has like 15 years and they're still not good. So it very depends a lot, but I would say at least 2 or 3 years of hard training and 2 or 3 years of professional fighting. Let's say 5 or 6 years you could get in UFC.
Okay, so if there's one moment that stuck out to you in your entire UFC career that's been your favorite, like one that you always revert back to when you're, struggling in the gym, maybe you don't want to do some of those reps, what is that one moment? One of the most crooked industries, most fiat industries there is the health insurance industry. Let's be honest, you don't even need health insurance. If you could find somebody that would help you find awesome doctors, negotiate your bills, and fund those bills through a peer-to-peer funding platform, would you take it? That sounds pretty appealing to me, and that's why I've joined forces with Crowd Health. Crowd Health is a place that you can do that all in one giant place. You can have a group of peers where they will help you find the best healthcare that you need. On top of all that, I can help get you a discount to get you on your feet and get everything started. You can use promo code GREENCANDLE for 3 months at $99. And with all of this, you will get the healthcare you need. You don't have to worry about going through to the doctor, negotiating, everything like that. Did you hit your deductible? Did you not? Is this insurance company going to cover this claim? Is it not? You don't have to worry about any of that stress, and you could just get Crowd Health behind you, where they can help you get the #1 place to have a health insurance alternative. To join the revolution, go to joincrowdhealth.com. Tell them that Green Candle sent you, and join me and the rest of the great Crowd Health users in this peer-to-peer funding platform. All right, enough for me. Let's get back to the show.
Man, I don't think too much about my career. I don't think too much about the past, I always think about the future. I am always training because I want money, I want money. I want to retire after I want to live a very good and prosperous life after I'm done. So I dedicate myself right now so I can live like a champion in the future. So I'm always thinking about the future.
Yeah, so you just finished your last fight. Do you have another one scheduled or no, not yet?
No, not yet. I don't have a fight yet. I just lost my last fight. That was for a world title. I was very sad. I was very disappointed. I could have become a champion, but that's life. That's reality. I'm gonna try my best to put myself on a position to fight for a belt again. So I want to fight as soon as possible. I want to fight in April here in Miami, or May in Brazil, and I want to get back to the track and beat some motherfuckers, get some money, and and get back to the title contention.
There we go. Now, do you want to call anybody out? I know that's a big part of the fight game here. Do you want to call anybody out that you want to get in the ring? I've seen you getting in a couple of Twitter battles here with Patty the Batty. So do you want to call him out on the next fight, or is that am I out of league here? Just
No,
coming as our
fucking
Bitcoin podcaster, man.
yeah, fuck Paddy Pimblett. I think our fight should be against the Fed and the and the inflation, my brother.
The-
Keep the money safe. Don't print too much money and let people be free.
Yeah, exactly. So, last question. So, with everything that you've had in the UFC, what would be the ultimate of your career? Would you want to win multiple UFC title championships? Do you have a number out there that you're like, this is exactly what I want, or is there a certain amount of years you want to fight for? What would be the ultimate if you were to look back at your career at the end? Like, what are some goals that you're shooting for?
I don't have many goals, I just go. Uh, I just roll with the punches, But my goal is to be healthy, wealth, and take care of my family. That's my whole goal: is make some money and don't have too much CTE and keep going.
Now with the CTE stuff, you brought it up, man. You see stuff with Antonio Brown coming in. He's got the Cracker of the Year awards. Now, obviously, he's making a lot of light of those jokes. And do you appreciate the jokes that he's making? You think that he's pretty funny with all that, or is it something that obviously it could be a potential worry for you here in the future?
Who is Antonio Brown? I don't know.
Oh, you don't know Antonio Brown? Go
No.
look him up, man. AB84 on Twitter. He's one of the more hilarious Twitter accounts if you've ever seen. But he's I know you're in Florida. He used to play for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and then he
Okay. So football.
football. He famously just quit in the middle of the halftime of a game where he literally took off his jersey while he was playing with Tom Brady and just left in the middle of a game. So, but he was one of the best receivers of all time, probably a Hall of Famer. And he's kind of claimed this whole CT ESPN brand where they do a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes about CTE. So you should check out his Twitter account if you haven't already.
I will. I will. I don't know football, to be honest with you. I don't know how they score. I don't know the rules. I'm from Brazil. People watch soccer more than football. Actually, people don't watch football at all in Brazil. But I will check it out. And CTE is a real thing, so that you will have to take care. If you are an athlete, you have to take care. You have to be careful with the training, because like I say, after I'm done, after I'm retired, I want to have a good life with my family and enjoy the fruits of my labor. So I will take care 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And all right, man. Well, you've been very generous with your time, so I appreciate you coming on. Why don't you tell people where they can find you and where they can figure out when your next fight is, when that gets scheduled.
I'm on X, Renato Moicano UFC, or even on YouTube, Money Moicano. I do a lot of videos about MMA and sometimes about Bitcoin. So if you want to go over there, please subscribe, go over there, go to my social media. And thank you so much, you, for the time and for the questions.
All right, man. Yeah, thanks so much. I'll put all that in the show notes, so everybody be sure to check it out. And we'll all be rooting for you, man. I want to see some more of those clips of you grabbing the mic after a victory and telling the world about Bitcoin.
Thank you so much, my brother. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of the State of Bitcoin podcast. If you really enjoyed this one, I've got another one cooking up for you. You can click that right here and you can go to the next episode, which is an absolute banger where I'm bringing you only the latest and greatest guests. Or if you're looking for more macro related content, you could check out my other channel, Macro Insights Pod. I got it linked for you right here. So where I'm bringing you more about stocks, real estate, traditional finance stuff. So go ahead and check that out. And if you enjoyed this podcast, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, enough from me. I'll see you at the next one.